Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Powerful Sales Solutions Podcast. And with me today, I have guest, Darryl, how do I pronounce your last name? Driscoll?
Dioso.
Dioso. I'm horrible at last names and I'm in sales. Holy Dinah. I have Darryl with me here. He's a senior recruiter specializing in sales roles, and he founded Resource Management Solutions Group back in 2003. And he's helped brands with recruitment and HR needs across North America and Europe. He's worked with Weight Watchers, discount car and truck rentals, Santa Fe Pastor, Mr. Coffee, Wilson International, Synergetics Worldwide. And Darryl's married. He's a father of a 7-year-old daughter. He's got passion about sales, technology, entrepreneurship, travel, sports. Have I covered it all, man?
You got it.
Awesome. And so what I wanted to do is get Darryl on because, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and the same themes start coming up for me that I hear back from a lot of the entrepreneurs I work with, is that they have this fear around hiring that first salesperson. And so what I wanted to do is sort of dive a little bit deeper with Darryl today, because he is an expert in matching the right salesperson with the right firm. And oftentimes the things that are getting in the way of entrepreneurs from pulling that lever and having those sales professionals come in the door are really about two main things from my perspective. It's like they don't have a sales process in place, and that they've maybe tried going down the route of hiring sales professionals, but it's failed. It sucked. They poured lots of money into having these people come on board, and they didn't perform. So, from my perspective, one of the quick fixes for that is to actually put a sales process in place. Actually spend the time, invest in doing the thing of sales yourselves as an entrepreneur, or as an owner of a business, and actually put those systems in place, road test them, make sure that they work, and bring a sales professional in and say, hey, I have done the sales. I have brought in clients. Here's how I did it. Here are all the steps we took. Now, you're a professional. Make it your own. Bring your other experiences from your past roles to it. And now go forward and bring us business. It's a good place to start from. So, Darryl, there are other things that entrepreneurs have said to you, the fear of why they won't even, they come to you and they say, hey, we need a sales guy. What are some of the other things that maybe they've said to you in the past?
Well, there's quite a few things. First and foremost is how to even unearth what a good sales professional is. What questions to ask, where to find them, how to entice them to work for you. You know what? A lot of entrepreneurs, they're good at their business, so they're good operations people. They're good business people, but sales is something foreign to them, especially when you're talking like a tech firm or something like that. It's just, they come to me and then they have this image. They try to paint me this image of a salesperson. Yeah, we want someone cold calling, bada bing, bada boom. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you think it's something like boiler room or like a used car salesman? And no, that's not sales, and that's not what you need or want. So that's part of it. Also part of it too is I think they don't understand how much time is involved, in going through piles of resumes, hours of interviews, negotiating the contract, etc. It eats up all out of their time, and they're actually overwhelmed. They're like, and I hear this. I get actually complaints from clients who originally turned us down and said, no, we don't want to work with a recruiter. Then they come back and say, oh my God, we got like over 200 resumes and none of them are a match.
Right, exactly. And then there's the fear of entropy sets in. They don't want to make the wrong decision. Yeah. Maybe they have in the past, and they got that sour taste where salespeople don't work for my industry, or as you said, they get overwhelmed with the amount of options that are out there, and they can't find that glue. Yeah. And so, why would an entrepreneur then? I mean, you've touched on it already, but what are all the other reasons why they should turn to somebody who's a professional? Because I get asked this as well, I'll come in, I'll create a new sales process for an organization, and they're ready to hire their first salespeople, but they're like, oh, I'll just go to LinkedIn, I'll try to find some people. I'm like, okay. And sometimes they stumble upon somebody who's in the right, just left something, or they're looking for something. That serendipitous moment happens every once in a while, but for the most part, it becomes a frustrating thing. But what are the other reasons why turn to a professional like yourself to hire in especially their first or after they've had a bad experience, find the right person?
Great question. And it kind of falls in line with what you just mentioned. We're a professional. This is what we focus on. It's similar analogy to real estate, right? You know, you can sell your house on your own, but there's a lot involved. And so a real estate agent knows the ins and outs of that industry and how to properly sell and get the best dollar for your house, right? That's what a recruiter is. We focus on this. So we have a process to properly find sales professionals, unearth them, you know, ask the right questions, truly vet them out properly, also help with negotiating, right? We focus on this, and we take away all those hours of pain and what have you. Furthermore to that is, because we are focused on recruitment, we have that database. You're trying to build a database from scratch, and then you're trying to filter through it. We have it. We're talking to salespeople on a daily basis, and chances are very high that we've already spoken to that ideal star sales performer that could fit in your role. So we can, like, you know, we know how to guide you through that process and reach a quick win. You should really be working with a pro.
Got it. Yeah, it's sort of it's the analogy of working with a business coach. It's like the people that have done the thing that you're trying to do. It is the shortcut, This is a shortcut to go from need to the right fit. Or the right solution extremely quickly, right? And you kind of shortcut all the pains that learning process happens. So talk to me a little bit about recruiting salespeople, because I mean, I've been one for 15 years. We are a different kind of breed, and sussing out the ones that just pay lip service and just say the things that people want to know what they want to say or they want to hear, versus the people that actually know what they're talking about and can perform. What are some of the tips on how to spot, a good sales professional from their resume?
From the resume, first and foremost, you want to have like a structure, right? Good salespeople are very organized, and they're able to tell their story, you know, obviously verbally, but also in print, you know, what their story was, what their background was. And then the most important, what I always look for, are accomplishments. They highlight all the accomplishments. Not something fluffy like was top sales professional. You know, what does that mean? One out of 2? 1 out of 100?
Results.
Yeah, they have the numbers, right? Was President's Club recipient, top award winner, first overall out of 25 sales representatives in Canada. Brought on brand name accounts such as Honda Canada, Home Depot, and Lowe's. Increased sales revenues by over $1 million. Increased territory by 25%. Exceeded sales quotas by 110%. This is what I want. I want those numbers, those facts and figures. Just a brief blurb as to what their role was, but what I'm really looking for, and where you really find who the true sales performers are, is when they can speak of their sales accomplishments, and they can list them out and tell you exactly what they achieved and what they can bring to you.
So then when we're talking about meeting in person now, so they've gone through the recruitment process, nailed it down, they're sitting in there. What are some of those interview questions that kind of speak to how you know that they're really good?
Yeah. Well, back to that is the numbers. Walk me through your numbers, right?
Okay.
You know, what were you responsible for? Tell me, what was your quota? What did you attain? And then you can drill down to specifics. Wow, that's impressive, 110%. How did you achieve that? You know, that's quite high. I just did some quick research. Typically, sales reps, the average is hitting around like 85%. How did you achieve that?
Right.
How many calls did you make? You know, you really drill down to the specifics as to how did they get there and how did they overachieve.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So how do you as a professional suss out the BS, really? Like the people that maybe give the white lie, sometimes they give complete and utter a flat out lie. How do you really figure that out?
Great question. And there's quite a few. First, again, I'm going back to accomplishments. Show me your T4. Show me your sales listing and ranking. Right? You should have that. You know, here I just pulled it off Salesforce. Here's the latest report. Shows me here at number 2 out of 15, something like that. Heck, bring in your President's Club award. The actual plaque. right? Something like that. That's one. Another one is references, right? And not, managerial references or so forth. I want to speak to your clients. Why did you deal with Daniel, right? How is he servicing you? How did he win your business, right? Talk to their clients. And then another way, and I do this often, especially sometimes, there's those candidates, maybe they didn't do a good job of presenting their numbers on their resume and so forth, but something about them, wow, she's good. I really need to, there's something there. There's a gem of a salesperson somewhere there. I do a role play. I say, look, I understand you work in software sales. Yours focuses on the health and safety environment. I don't know much about that. Why don't you pitch me, educate me? Let's just go right now. Let's go at it. And the good ones are excited. They're like, yeah, let's do this. It's kind of like one-on-one basketball.
Exactly. Yeah.
Give me the ball. Give me the ball, right? The good ones will come out and really show your stuff, right? And
I remember
even those, the really good ones, exceptional ones, will even take time to prepare even on the spot. They'll ask you some questions. Okay, well, can we just backtrack? What sort of company am I representing? What sort of environment am I walking? Is it cold? Excellent stuff. I love that. Then I get all pumped.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Usually I'll just railroad in and just make assumptions and just do what I want. I remember one of my first interviews for a sales job, and we're talking 15 years ago, so way before it became popular, known. The "sell me this pen" was one of the first questions I got on one of my very first sales interviews, and I remember I nailed it, and I really impressed the guy. And I was supposed to do I had lined up a few interviews, I had a few job offers, and I actually turned him down. And he turned back and said, "I know there's 2 more rounds of interviews, but we'll waive them for you. We'll take you now. If you say yes to the job, we want you. I know you said you wanted to take another job, but I want you." I still decided to take the other job. But it goes to show you what a good salesperson can on the spot with no preparation, with no nothing, should be able to rise to the occasion. We are born storytellers, as you said. So if we can come up with the understanding of how to sell the value behind an object, whatever that is, then you have somebody who's sort of purebred.
Yeah, exactly.
So, this is great stuff, Darryl. This is great stuff. So talk about compensation. That's always a huge concern around entrepreneurs, especially in the startup field, when they're starting to think about how do I create a comp plan that's really a win-win, that gets the ball rolling on the sales in a positive way, that they're incentivizing them with a package that will ensure that they have the company's best interest in mind and not just the sales professional. So talk about compensation models that you've seen, especially within the startup world, and not. So maybe we can look at it from 2 sides: the startup world as well as established companies. Some models that you've seen that have worked really well.
Yeah. Well, overall, whether it be an established company or a startup, always the model that works, and I've seen throughout the years, is always base plus commission, right? Pure commission rarely works unless it's an industry like real estate or auto sales, where it's just been through the years
established.
Yeah, but anywhere else, though, I strongly urge all my clients offer a base, and then on top commissions, so tied to their performance. Right. Other add-ons that you could look at are a bonus, and especially in benefits and so forth, and especially in a startup environment, equity. Something that gets people a lot of excited and involved. But always, I strongly urge a base plus commissions variable.
So, is there a magic ratio, or is it more like is it thinking of just cost of living in the city that they're hiring in, and then you go from there?
Yeah, it varies, right? It varies. It really, the ratio, it's almost how much of a hunter do you want them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have to kind of play with that as well, and also how competitive can you be with the rest of your market, right? So if you're too low on your base, you're not going to entice anyone, right? So be pretty fair. And It's a very general rule of thumb, but I always kind of educate a 10% sort of model, right? So if we're going to target our salesperson to hit, say, $1 million, right? So 10%, the easy math, 100,000, right? So you can allocate that 100,000 as what we can reward our salesperson with.
After
then,
like total compensation package.
Exactly. Break it down that out of that 100K, is it a 70-30 split?
Got it.
50-50, whatever, right? But that's always been a good rule of thumb. It kind
I
of
like that. Yeah. And that's that. Whenever I've had a good, successful sales role, and felt like I was adequately compensated, that 10% rule, it's like, okay, we're looking to have you bring in X dollars. 10% of that is this. Now, a portion of that is your base salary, and a portion of that you have to earn based on a commission structure of some kind. And then if you've hit it, there's bonuses and things like car allowances and cell phones, like all the sort of perk things that would come along with a good sales professional. Allowances for taking out clients for lunches, and like all the things that you want to arm a relationship-based salesperson with. So that's great. I think some of the things you talked about today have been amazing. And so, I think when entrepreneurs get to the place of understanding their sales process, that optimizes that opportunity to bring in a sales professional under the terms that they want, right? Whereas if they don't have a sales process at all, they need to find a bit of a different breed of salesperson, right? Somebody that can actually come in and construct that from scratch. And typically, correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to pay a premium for that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So in order to, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I forgot another piece about the commissions.
Sure.
Want to add, this is very important. Always reward the behavior that they can control, right? Or the activities they control, right? So if we're doing it on pure sales, commissions on sales, great, because I control my sales. But if we're going to do it on, say, gross profit, make sure that they're involved in that, in the budgeting. So it's not fair to commission them on something that they don't have a true or total control on. Another thing to look at, and also I've seen many companies do this, they actually commission, or a better term would be bonus, on activities. So number of meetings you book, number of presentations that you make, etc. It's because the idea is that, look, these 3 meetings will lead to, a sale for the month. So keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing great, right? They reward them on the behavior.
Especially if as an entrepreneur, you've figured out your sales process and you know how big of a pipe you needed to close the business you did, you can extrapolate some of that and say, okay, if I put incentives in place that make sure they have a huge initial pipeline, I know that if they have at level, whatever they're going to do, like, meeting 1s, lots of meetings 3s, and however many proposals out at one time, they keep those levels of that pipe at a certain point. Because you've done the thing already, it's going to have those results. And so then you can create bonuses and additions that create that incentive to make sure that they're always at that level, because you're trying to, as you said, you're directly relating the activity you want them to do, the compensation they're gonna get. And as sales guys, we really get motivated by the numbers.
I was just gonna say, we love recognition. So you get pumped up if you can celebrate that. Hey, I booked a meeting, or I just met with this, this one prospect, and it was so hard to find his contact info. We love that, right? So if you can incentivize them somewhere, keep going. Right? We will be there. We will be like, yes, let's keep doing this.
Yep.
They love it.
That's very smart. It's a much, and then, to your point about if you are looking at creating from a gross margin perspective, just be transparent about that stuff. I've been in roles where there was bait and switch is happening. It's like halfway through, costs of goods went up, then my percentages went, how much I ended up making, what I thought I was going to make became less because the margins were different, or they changed the comp plan halfway through. They pulled these it's just
so awesome.
First you cry, and then you go like, okay, I gotta get out of here as soon as possible. It's really, really important to be transparent. The better that you can treat your sales professional, I think the more they're going to produce for you, really. comes down. Cool. So, so after having something that's in place, that you know it's going to work, you can create a comp plan against what you know that works, so you can make sure that that they're going to end up making the sales that you want, but also you're going to give them incentives that are going to be tied back to that. Some of the things that Darryl shared, I just want to, as we're wrapping up here, just key takeaways. Salespeople are good storytellers. They got to be able to tell their own story, but also they got to be able to represent the story of the thing that they're going to sell. How to identify a salesperson that you know that they're good. They have great sales numbers, that the achievement numbers that they can promote on their resume, and they can walk you through those numbers in detail in person and talk about how they achieve those things. And how to suss out somebody who might be a little white lies or boasting up the truth. Show me the proof. Show me that award. Show me your T4. Show me the commission check that you got. Like, that stuff is celebrated by most salespeople. And if someone's hiding that or skirting the truth a little, that'll be the first thing that'll suss them out. And then the references, like not just the sales managers, but you want to talk to the clients, the people that they serve, people that they've actually won over with that storytelling. And how did they win that business? I love that question. Like, hey, how did Daniel win that business? I would love somebody to ask my clients that question when trying to find a reference call for me, because they're going to just blush, right? And that's what you want, right? You want someone, oh my God, he was amazing. He did this, he did that, he said this. Like, I know I have clients that won't sell those stories. So I love that question, because I know if someone's scared to have you call their clients, then you know that they've done things that are in the negative, right? They've done pressure tactics, or they've done some weirdness or whatever. So I think it's an awesome way to approach it, and love it. So any other wrap up questions you want to think about that you want to, or key takeaways you want to leave people with?
Well, I just want to, one thing I forgot to mention, and some key takeaways. We're going back to why to use a pro. One big one, and I should have brought this up, is just the professionalism and anonymity that's involved. We're probably going to be headhunting this person, right? And you don't want to be putting your foot out there saying, company ABC is hiring, and we're going after your competitors. Let us go after them, and we can speak to them very confidentially, privately, and say, look, Daniel, there's a lot of interest from you. It's a company that you probably know of, maybe you bumped into. They're really interested in sitting down with you. You know what? Nobody's stepping on anyone's toes. It's very professional at that point. That's where the headhunter comes in. Really,
direct sourcing, I think, is especially if you want to have somebody who has all those proof points, they're winning them over or being in ready, because again, you have the database, you have people that are maybe ready or telegraphing to you, telling you, hey, I might be leaving this position soon, I am looking for something new. Now it's on your radar. If somebody comes to you and says, I'm looking for a position, I know somebody who's coming up, and you match those people. You can't find that stuff on LinkedIn. You can't find that stuff by putting an ad out, because you're going to get 99% are going to be college grads or university grads that don't have the experience, that are just flooding your inbox with resumes, and now you got to spend a lot of time sussing those things out. So they're really, as you said, efficiencies, I think, is like a huge takeaway from why I work with a professional, because you're going to get to that end result much quicker, and you're going to find more high quality people.
Right. So some of the takeaways, just you touched upon them, but just for both the resumes as well as the interviews, unearth those accomplishments, drill down on how did they achieve them, right? If you need some proof, ask for it, right? And then further to that is just make sure that you have a true salesperson. They should be passionate. They should want to do a role play with you. One of my favorite questions is, why do you love sales so much? But my other favorite question that follow up immediately to that is, what are the negatives to sales? Like, least about sales. Now you get some really good discussions going on.
Sure.
You have those people like very passionate about it. They can talk about the good and the bad, right? Sure. And then final takeaway is, please don't just rely on your gut. Don't rely on your gut. have a process, have something that you're measuring, that you're benchmarking against, for this ideal candidate.
Yeah.
Well, there was something about her. No, please. You're going to end up with a lot of heartache, right? It has to be, something, measurable on your end, something that you've kind discern that, look, we need A, B, C, D, E, and we'll be looking for this sort of answers, and so forth, right? Do not rely on your guts.
And the data, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah.
if they've done the kind of sales, like if it's heavy relationship based sales versus if it's highly technical, if there's a creative element to the sale, have they done those things, or have they shown enough creativity that you have a high level of confidence they can do that thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, Darryl, listen, this has been amazing. How can people get in touch with you if they're interested in talking to a professional?
Oh, thank you. Well, first off, my email is Darryl@rmsgworks.com. So DARRYL and our domain rmsgworks.com. Also, please feel free to add me on LinkedIn, learn a little bit more about me. I've got some blogs up there as well. So that's DARRYL and Dioso, DIOSO. And now you know how to pronounce it, Dioso.
Dioso.
Please go ahead and add me on LinkedIn.
My apologies for that.
I'm just teasing you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. I know you're busy to record this with me. And lots of value there for entrepreneurs that are ready to hire their first sales professional, or now do it the right way if they've had some bad experiences. So, Darryl, really appreciate you sharing your genius with us. And until next time.
Thank you, Daniel.
Take care.